It's time to do the last house for our Falling for Autumn quilt. Are you ready? Hey everyone, Cristin here, and we are continuing with our Falling for Autumn quilt with Daylily Fabric Shop as our sponsor. If you haven't already placed your order, make sure to do that. In fact, I'll add a link here, and this will give you a direct link to be able to purchase your supplies from our sponsor. We are only on section 2, so there's plenty of time to catch up if you haven't already. So let's talk about what we have done. So we have all of section 1 complete, which is just so cute, especially my favorite, those sweaters. I love the sweater blocks. That was section 1. And then section 2, so far, we have this much done so far. So today, we also have some of the filler blocks, by the way, and you can see all the videos for that. And then we have one of the piece blocks for later. So we are going to today work on the next house block, which is actually the last house block. There are 3 house blocks total. And I was thinking I may also include, I might do the that cozy sweater, not sweater, cozy chair also, possibly. I'm not sure. It's a bigger block, so maybe not. But anyway, let's go over what we need for the house. It's called the Pumpkin Spice House. And grab your packet. It is the one on page 28, the Pumpkin Spice House. So tell me, do you like pumpkin? Everybody in the fall season loves all the pumpkin things. And if you go to the bakery in the grocery store or wherever, everything's got like pumpkin spice this and pumpkin spice that. So are you a pumpkin person? I am not. I have to say I am not. I don't think a vegetable and a dessert go together. Definitely not, in my opinion. But that's me, and we already know I'm extremely picky when it comes to food. So I'm curious, what do you like? What is your favorite pumpkin item if you are one of those pumpkin people? So let's go over the products that we need for our house block today. So the first one is our background. So our background is the same as the other 2 house blocks. So I want to point that out because you're going to want to use the same thread for your quilting that you did on the other 2. Sorry, I'm getting messages. Lots of messages from my friend Lori and David, silly, my cycling friends. All right, so like I was saying, this is the same fabric from the other 2, and you're going to want to use that same thread because they're going to be sewn together. So you wouldn't want a couple of them to have this certain thread and then the last one to have a different thread. So make sure you're using the same thread for the quilting for all 3 of them. All right, so we're going to have this main fabric be 6.5 by 8.5. That's what we're going to start with it at, 6.5 by 8.5. It is a taupe colored silky solid, and you want to make sure to back this with fusible stabilizer. And now I'm getting a call. Hold on a second. Sorry about that, I'm back. So my friends Lori and David are out on a bike ride, eating ice cream, having fun, and I'm in Idaho and working on my quilt. We're both having fun doing different things, but yes, I miss it. I have to say, I miss my cycling club back home. All right, so I mentioned, so our main fabric, 6.5 by 8.5. And then we are going to have the house. So the house is this dark orange silky solid, plain dark orange silky solid. And this one for the house, it's going to be 4 by 4.5. 4 by 4.5. I did back my applique pieces with fusible stabilizer, fusible backing, but that's optional. Some people do, some people don't, whatever works for you. I find that it cuts a lot easier. You don't get all that fraying. And then it also, of course, lays down very neatly without puckering. So totally up to you. 4 by 4.5 for the house fabric. And then we have the roof, and the roof is this dark brown, and this one is not a silky solid. It's got lines all over it, so it does have a design on it. Hopefully you can see that. So the roof is going to be 4.5 by 2.5. 4.5 by 2.5. Again, I backed mine with fusible stabilizer, completely optional. 4.5 by 2.5 for the roof. All right, and then next we have the door.
The door is a white silky solid, and I did back mine with fusible stabilizer, and I want to point that out just because, again, if when you put it down for your applique, just make sure that the fabric side is up, not the fusible backing, because you can see they look the same. All right, so I just want to point that out. So our door fabric is going to be 2 by 2.5, 2 by 2.5. And then we have the windows. So the windows is going to be this light blue silky solid. And this one we're going to have at 3 by 2.5. 3 by 2.5 for the windows fabric. All right. And that one does look a little similar to the fusible backing, but not too bad because that blue tint to it. All right, and then for the pumpkin, it's actually a golden silky solid. It'll be against that orange house, so that will be really cute. So it's a golden silky solid, and for the pumpkin, we're gonna have 2 by 2. This one is 2 by 2 for the applique piece. And then there is supposed to be a piece of vinyl, clear vinyl. There it is at the bottom. It's so funny how it gets stuck in there and you don't see it. These are really easy to lose, so just make sure to check your packet. All right, so that clear vinyl, and once it's been against the batting, it can kind of take over some of that fluff or whatever you call it. So the clear vinyl, we're going to have this be 3 by 2.5. 3 by 2.5 for your clear vinyl. All right, and if you decide to add something to this, I'm thinking I might add something to one of the windows. And if you do, I'll show you just like I did before as far as how you have to change where the vinyl is, right? You want the design underneath the vinyl, and you want to move the grades of the window to the end. So I'll show you that if you decide to do that. Totally, completely optional. This block is super cute, especially with that pumpkin already there. So you could leave it as is for sure. So we are going to quilt this, so we need our batting. So our batting on this one is going to be 5 by 7, 5 by 7 for your batting, all right? And then we are going to quilt this, we are going to quilt this with Weather 4, just like we did on the other two, Weather 4 in a 4 by 6 horizontal design. 4 by 6 horizontal Weather 4. And again, in the book it recommends using that taupe color. I think it's warm gray 4 or something like that for the quilting. I used a blue variegated thread on my other two. You can see that in the previous tutorial. So I'm going to keep with that. I'm going to use that blue-white variegated on mine. I thought that came out really fun. But whatever you used on your other two, I highly recommend using on this last one as well, because they are going to be sewn together and it will look like this wind on all 3 blocks. All right. There are special cut instructions. So it's that same thing that it says to have it be a 1/2 inch above the inner bottom of the edge of the ruler. So I will show that again, but with our quilting, it really, I didn't find it to be much difference, which is kind of interesting because there's a 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way around. But this one's, oops, sorry, totally kicked my light on that. Sorry about that. So anyway, I will show you the cut instructions when we get there. The wreath will be added later, and keep that in mind too. That wreath could get in the way of one of those windows. So depending on what you want to put in your window, maybe keep that in mind too. I might put something in that right window, the one that's over the pumpkin. And I have a couple of cute ideas, so I'll show you that. And if you choose to do that, great. If you choose not to, no problem. It's an absolutely adorable block as it is. So special cut instructions, choose to add something in the window if you choose. And let's go ahead and I'll bring you over to the computer and show you how I'm going to do that. Okay, and while we're at it, why don't we do another block? So this other one is the chair block with that pretty blanket over it. I think that looks like a really easy one. I've thought about adding something to that one. I'm not totally sure though because of that big thick blanket. So I'm gonna take a look at that and see if I want to. If you decide to, just make sure to put some wash away topping over the top of it, or wash away topping. I think that's what it's called. Sorry. You want that over the top if you're going to stitch anything on top of that blanket. We actually might need it anyway. We do. Wash away topping. It's on here anyway. So you want that for that big, thick blanket. All right. Either way, you're going to want that so that the stitches don't sink down. All right. So let's talk about what we need for that block. So it is called Warm Snuggles. It is on page 30 of your book. So grab that packet And keep in mind, you can do these blocks completely separately. You can do them over your own timeline. I'm going to put them in one hooping just to save on stabilizer and save on time, but that's completely optional. The tutorial will still show you working on one block, then working on the next block. So this will still work for you either way. All right, so let's talk about what we need for the warm Snuggles block. Isn't that such a pretty block? So the first thing that we need is our main fabric. So our main fabric is this blue with arrows on it, or chevron, maybe it's chevron. Anyway, this one is a directional fabric. So I mentioned it during the prep video before we started this project that you want to follow the guide in the book on how to cut it so that you've got your arrows or chevron going the right way. So on this one, we're going to start with this at 8.5 by 10.5. It's our main fabric. It's a big piece of fabric. So make sure to back this with fusible stabilizer. This is going to be 8.5 by 10.5 to start with. All right, so this is the main background fabric for our warm Snuggles block. And then we have the Orange Spice Velveteen Chair. So this one is going to look like this. All right, I want to point out that there is generally a nap to this, so you want to see which way, so you can feel this way is rough and this way is soft. So when you're laying it down, you want it to be the soft side. All right, so we're going to start with this Orange Spice Velveteen at 6 by 5.5. 6 by 5.5. Do not back velveteen with anything, just leave it as is. 6 by 5.5. all right. And then we have the creamy white plush fabric for the blanket. And this again is directional, all right? So you can see it's soft. Oh my gosh, it's so soft. So sweet. Sorry, I'm getting a message. All right, so whereas this way it will make all of the fur stand up. So you want to lay it down in a way that's going to keep it all nice and soft. So this one, creamy white plush fabric, we're going to start at 4.5 by 6. 4.5 by 6. Don't back this with anything. Leave it as is. It says cut with the nap toward a short edge of the piece of the plush fabric. Don't bother cutting it. We have one piece. We only have one thing to put it on. Don't bother cutting it. It's okay. Leave it as you got it from your embellishment kit. All right, so 4.5 by 6 for the creamy white fabric. We will obviously cut it because it's an applique piece, but don't worry about that until we get there. All right, and then we have Flexifoam. So our Flexifoam is going to be 6 by 5.5. 6 by 5.5 for the Flexifoam. All right, and this I believe was in our embellishment kit. I don't remember exactly, but it would be in the prep video. All that information would be in the prep video. And then we need wash away topping. I'm gonna grab mine. All right, so wash away topping, it's the light blue one. You can see this. We want this to be on the top of our block so that our stitches will not sink in. Okay, wash away topping, I'll show you where we're going to put that. It's going to go over the top after we put down that plush blankety fabric. All right, and then if we want our batting, so our batting is going to be 7 by 9. 7 by 9 for our batting for the warm Snuggles block. 7 by 9. All right, and then we are going to quilt this with Weave 2 in a 6 by 8 vertical design. So keep in mind that this one has a horizontal option or a vertical option, so make sure to choose the vertical. It's the one that's got the design like it's almost like an argyle look, and it's going down. All right, so 6 by 8 vertical Weave 2 is our quilting design, and there are special cut instructions. We will add the little sign and blanket trim at the end, probably after the entire quilt top is done. It says square the finished block to 6.5 by 8.5 with the design centered horizontally and with the bottom of the chair legs 2¼ inches above the inner bottom edge of the ruler. All right, so we'll have to take a look at that, but with our quilting it generally doesn't matter. We've still got that all centered, and there's probably, yes, there is a line. The last step is a line that is, we will not stitch it. It's just for placement purposes for digitizing. So in other words, they're going to put a stitch up there so that it will be centered with our quilting. All right, our quilting design and our chair design will be centered. Okay, so that's it for those 2 blocks. They're very easy blocks. I'm going to bring you over to the computer just so that I'm going to merge the 2 quilting together just so that I can do the batting, cut, and all of that at the same time. And then I will do all of the house block and all of the chair block. So it will look the same for you. It won't be a problem whether you're adding to it or whether you're not using software, or if you are using software. I'm going to show you how to be a pro at your Brilliance Essentials. All right, so let's go over to the computer and take a look at that. Hey everyone, so I'm at my computer now and I have a few things to show you. I've checked it out, different ways of trying to do this, and I think I have it down now. So let me show you. I'm going to open up Brilliance Essentials. That is the embroidery software that I use. It's opening to my 9x14 hoop, which I've already determined works great. If you are not on the hoop size that you want, come up here to this preferences folder, click on that, click on the hoop size that you want, say okay, and then click on this compass button and click on H for hoop. Okay. So I'm going to start by bringing in the quilting design. I'm going to go to merge stitch file, and I am going to close up these other things that I've got, and let's see here. All right, go to your Falling for Autumn, and then the quilting bundle, and we are looking for Weather 4 right there. Embroidery files, block by block, and then Pez is what I use for my machine. And we want a 4x6 horizontal design. So I'm going to scroll down here. 4x6 horizontal right there. Double click on that. All right, and it goes to the center. I'm going to go ahead and keep it in the center for a little bit here. So I want to go ahead and make those changes that we always do, the default blues and oranges. Excuse Archer sighing right next to me. He's already bored with this. All right, so click on 1-1, click on the color, and the first color that comes up for me is dark aqua. Whatever color comes up for you is fine. All right, and then 1-2, click on the first color that comes up. For me, it's blaze. 1-3, click on the color, and we want the second color now because we already used the first one. So I'm going to click on marine, and then 1-4, click on the color, and we want the second color. For me, that's Oriole. And then this 1-5, we want to make sure that these don't join because one of the quilting is on that taupe fabric and the other one is on a navy blue fabric. So I'm going to click on the color, and I'm going to choose the first color that comes up for me, that is Sprout, and say okay. All right, so those are done. I'm going to go ahead and close that. I'm going to go to merge stitch file, and I'm going to bring in that pumpkin spice house. I'm going to close up the quilting and go to embroidery files, Pez, Falling for Autumn quilt. And then we're looking for the pumpkin house right there, pumpkin spice house. All right, and then that automatically goes to the center. You can click on it to make sure because it's going to be important. We do want this centered. All right, you can tell from these black squares that it is centered horizontally and also vertically. All right. All right, so I'm going to click outside so that nothing is selected. You can see we've got all those blues and oranges, and we're not going to worry about those because we're going to do a color sort just for the batting and the main fabric, just the quilting part of it. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make a couple of changes right now before we even start on bringing in the chair. So I want to point out that we have that placement stitch. This is that last line. We're not going to stitch that, but we're going to leave it in, and we will just bypass it. And then we have the windows here. I want to put something in the window, so I'm going to have to move that window to later, and I'll show you how to do that when we get there. So for now, I am going to, well, let me show you first. So if I go to, excuse me, if I go to our browser and I go to Etsy and go to So Cha Cha, that's the site that I told you about yesterday that's got a lot of mini designs. And I'm just going to show you a couple real quick here. So if you type mixer into this search bar, there is this kitchen mixer, but notice this is a regular size, so do not get this. It will not work for you for this project. But this one, how cute is this set? It's an entire set, so you could put this adorable cake in the in the window. You could put these mixing bowls in the window. You could put this mixer in the window. So originally I wanted to put the mixer, but I'm leaning toward the mixing bowls actually, and I didn't even try the cake. The cake would be super cute too. So any of those would be super cute. Another idea is, let's see, what did I think if I put sewing machine, hopefully it'll come up. Oh, right there. All right, so sewing machine, there's actually two of them. There's this mini sewing machine with the flower on it, or there's this one. I bought this one. So I'm just clicking on it to show you a better. This sewing machine, you could put that in the window. That would be really cute, like a craft room up there. That would be really cute. So lots of different designs. You can look through all of the Sew Cha Cha site, and there's like 396 mini designs. So any of those would be super cute. So whatever you have an interest in, just keep that in mind, something to add to. So I'm going to show you a couple things here. So I'm going back to Embrilliance, and I'm going to go to merge stitch file. You can do it that way, or you can go to the folder and just drag it over. Either way works fine. All right, I'm going to, I think I'll do the drag feature just because then I can keep to the other folder that I was already using. So if I go to Documents, Embroidery Files, and then Etsy, Sew Cha Cha, that's where I've got mine. All right, and I'm going to shrink this up so I can see my workspace a little bit better. All right, so let's see, there is that mixer right there. I just grab it and drag it over. All right, it automatically went to the center. So if I click on this, I would need to shrink it. I'll put it over into the window so that you can see. I'm choosing to use this right window because I think that this wreath might just come into this window a little bit. I could be wrong, but anyway, I've decided on this using this right window. So if you click on any of the corners, you can drag it down to resize it. And then another thing that you can do is you can use your mouse button to zoom in. That will show you, or you can go up here to this compass button to zoom in. Either way will work. So I'm going to click outside so that I can see. It's still definitely too big. So if I click on this and drag it down, I think that's it. Yep, that's the smallest it'll go for the mixer. So it does fit. It goes over the stitching of the window just a little bit, but I'm super okay with that. That looks really good. So that's one idea. All right. I'm going to move this out of the way here so that we can see some other ideas. So the other one I was looking at is, what was, oh, I didn't try the cake. I didn't even unpack the cake. I'm going to go ahead and try that sewing machine. I want to show you the sewing machine. Originally I wanted the sewing machine. Sorry, I clicked on it too much. There we go. Drag it over. It goes to the center. I'm going to click on it, and I'm just going to bring it over to that window, and then I'm going to shrink it down. All right, and then you can zoom in to be able to see it. So the negative with using your mouse key to zoom in is then you have to move these over. So the easiest way is to just take that crosshairs and move it over to where you want to see, and then from there zoom in, and you can see. That works really easily. All right, so that sewing machine fits really well. That looks really cute. I'm going to move it over just a little bit more. So that's an idea, that sewing machine. These are jump stitches, so you'd have to cut these, just so you know. The rest looks fine. So that is a really cute idea, and that's what I was leaning toward originally, and now that I'm seeing it again, I think that's really darn cute. Let me show you one other that I was thinking of. So where was it? Mixing bowls right here. I thought this looked really cute too. So these mixing bowls, drag it down, put it in the window. So that has a lot of color and a little less detail. I thought this was pretty cute. I liked the look of this, and I'm kind of leaning toward this one. So let me shrink it down a tiny bit more. So you can see, you just pull those edges in, and that's the max that it'll do. So you could just automatically, now that we know, just go down to the smallest size, and that works really well. How cute is that? So zoom out. So whatever you want, but here's just some ideas. I'm leaning toward that mixing bowl. I think that's just really cute. So I'm going to do that, even though I originally wanted the sewing machine and then the mixer. I really didn't think of the the bowls, but then I put the bowls in there and I thought that was so cute. So I'm going to delete the other two. I'm going to stay with this. Now notice our mixing bowls, like I mentioned in yesterday's video, these are sitting outside the window right now. So we have to make sure to move that, the detail of the window. And we want this after, we want to put those mixing bowls in before we put that vinyl on, the vinyl that covers the window. Sorry. Okay. So super easy to do that. I'll show you really quick how to do that. So this window, if you click on that, this is the easiest way that I found to do this. If I click on that window pane and I say Control C to copy it, and then I hit Control V, it goes down to the bottom, right where we want it to be. So then you have to make sure to click on this first one and delete it. All right. Delete. All right, so then we have, look, if I close this up, we've got the quilting design, then we have the house design, and then we have the mixing bowls, and then we have that pumpkin or the vinyl window detail. All right, so that's perfect. That one's all done. That one is great. All right, so now since we brought the design, the quilting design in and then the house in, and it's all to the middle, because as soon as you bring a design in, it comes to the center anyway. We actually don't even need to do an align and distribute. You can tell, so I'm clicking on the quilting design, and you can see from the black squares that it's centered, and then if you click on the house itself, you can see that that is centered as well. So that's perfect. We don't even need to do an align and distribute since we kept the quilting design to the center. The quilting and the house design, they automatically came to the center, so we don't need to worry about that. So that one is done. I'm just going to close these up. All right, and I'm going to go to File, New Page to do the next one, and then we will move them around. So I'm going to go ahead and go to Merge Stitch File, and now I'm going to bring in the quilting design for the Warm Snuggles block. So let's see. Here is the quilting, and we want weave 2 and a 6x8 vertical. So Embroidery Files, Pez, and then a 6x8. 6x8, weave 2 in vertical. So right here, weave 2, 6x2 vertical. Double click on that, it goes to the center. Now again, that's why this is important to keep this to the center, then we don't need to do an align and distribute later. So this one is centered perfectly. We want to make sure to make those changes just like we did before. And if you don't remember, you can always click on this Untitled 1 tab. All right, so I'm going to click outside so that nothing is selected, then click on 1, click on the color. My head might be in the way. I'm going to move this back so you can see everything. All right, and then click on the color, click on Dark Aqua for the first one, because that's what we used before. If you don't remember, refer back to your Untitled 1 tab. Say OK, and then 1, 2, click on the color, Blaze, and then 1, 3, click on the color, and we want the second color down, which for me is Marine, and then 1, 4, click on the color, second color down, Oriole. And then 1, 5. Now we don't want the same one because remember I mentioned that the first one is going to be in a taupe fabric and the second one in a navy fabric. So we don't want those to join when we do our color sort. So I used Sprout before. I'm going to use Sea Green now and say okay. All right, so that is done for our quilting. They're all perfectly recolor distributed so that we can do our color sort later. Now I'm going to bring in the embroidery design. So I'm going to close up this quilting, go to the embroidery files, and Pez Falling for Autumn Quilt, and we're looking for that Warm Snuggles block. It's the chair. There it is right there. Double click on it and it goes to the center. All right. So again, that's important. We want to check on it. So if I click on the chair, you can see from the black squares that it's right in the center, and we already checked our quilting. So that is perfect. Now, I don't have any changes on this one. Here's that block that part of the design that I mentioned we will bypass, but we want to keep it in there because that's what keeps it lined up right. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and close up that chair, close up the quilting. Now, if you choose to add something, I'm going to move this back over here so that you can see that window again. If you choose to add something in, you would want it to be after the end of all of this, all right? So I'm going to go ahead and we also want to make sure that we still have our our water soluble topping, wash away topping. Let me think. So if we've got the chair, we'll probably put it on right before that would be my guess. So that would be perfect. So I'm going to close this up. All right, so now think about what you want on your chair if you want something on your chair. So I'm going to show you two things that I thought of. Those that like cats. I'm not really a cat person anymore. I used to be, but if you wanted a cat, this was in the So Cha Cha. All right, and I'm going to just move it over here. Actually, I think I'll put it up here. I'm going to zoom in so I can see. Maybe down here. All right, so what I would recommend is putting it where there's not a whole lot of this thick fabric. But either way, I think you'll be okay if you decide to do this. So let me show you on the site so that you can get a better idea of what it's supposed to look like. I'll just put cat. There's the mini cat. That's the one that I purchased. So that is a very cute idea. Another one is a dog. So there's a few mini dogs, different types. I ended up buying this one because he looks most like a boxer to me for the mini options anyway. There's also this one that's on a mat. That would be cute. In fact, I don't think I bought that one. That one would be super cute if you took out the mat. Look at how cute he is all snuggled up. That's super cute. I should have thought of that. I bought this one. But anyway, some very cute ideas, whatever appeals to you. Think of some ideas of something that you might like on your chair. All right, so here's the cat. So all I did was bring it in and it goes right to the end anyway, and move it around to where you want it, size it up to how you want it. Excuse me. So that's a really cute idea. I'll just move him over for now. Excuse me. All right, so if I bring in that dog that I bought, now I'm wishing I had bought the other dog too. Let's see, mini dog sitting. So I will just drag him over. He automatically goes to the center, so you don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to go ahead and just move him over to where I think he looks cute on the chair. And looks like he doesn't even need to be resized. I don't think the cat did either, actually. So that is really cute. Super, so just some cute ideas if you wanted something on your chair. And it's absolutely not necessary. I'm going to delete the cat because I like the dog better personally. He's already after there. So that's all perfect. All right. So that one is done because I already redid the colors on the quilting design, and the chair and the dog are already lined up in the right way that I want them. So that is perfect. Okay, so now we need to bring the two together. All right, so we've got Untitled 1 that has our house, our pumpkin house, and then Untitled 2 that has the chair. I'm going to go to File, New Page, and I'm going to bring in, let me think here. Bring in, well, we don't have to do our align. All we have to do is our color sort. So what we want to do is line these up right first. So actually I'm going to bring in both of these. So I'm going to take this and yeah, if you click on just that, so then you're not getting all of it. So I want to point that out real quick. So the easiest way to make sure that you're getting all the parts is to click from the bottom and drag up, and then just check, make sure you've got all 4 parts selected. I'm going to say Control C, and actually you could even do this. I'm going to leave it on here. You don't need that 3rd tab right now. You can just take this and move it up. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just so that you can see. I'm going to click this compass button so that we're made sure that we're seeing everything. All right, there is the first one. All right. We need to rotate this. I'm going to rotate it now. So while everything is selected, I'm going to rotate it with this rotate 90-degree button to the left, and then I'm going to bring it back up. Again, you have, for some reason, you can't do it once you rotate it. So you have to click outside so that nothing is selected, and then select them all again to be able to drag it. And you want to make sure you've got them all selected when you're going to move them to another location. Otherwise, all that aligning that you did will be off. All right, so that first one is done how I want it. Now this Untitled 2, I'm going to, again, click from the bottom, drag up so that I get all the parts. I'm going to say Control C, because now I want to bring it into that first tab, and it will go to the center, and then I can go ahead and bring it down to the bottom from there, keeping everything centered. I think I can do one more. Okay, so there's a little bit of space between here, not a ton, but I think enough. I think we'll be all right. All right, so this fits nicely in a 9x14 hoop. Now I want to do a color sort of just the quilting. So let me show you what I'm going to do here. First off, I am going to move this quilting up. Okay, so you can see we've got the first quilting and then the house design, the second quilting, and then the chair design. I want this to move up, so I'm gonna right click on it. I find that easiest. You can from here drag it, but it never seems to go where I want it to go, and it did. Of course it did. Right? Okay, so if you did that, just click on the photo. If you click on the picture part of it and bring it up, that's the easiest way. All right, so then just make sure you've got your first quilting, your second quilting, and then we have all of the house and the elements for the house. The window is the last part of that, and then the chair and the special personalization element that we've added. All right, so those are done. But I want to do a color sort so that just these first two parts will color sort. I don't want all of these to color sort because you saw all of those default blues and oranges. That would be a problem with all the different applique pieces. All right, so what I'm going to do, let me show you here. I'm going to go ahead and click from the bottom, drag up, and get everything. All right, I'm going to say Control C, and I'm going to go to Untitled 3, and I'm going to say Control V so that I have all of those parts. All right, there's my 7 steps. Then I'm going to go to this second tab, was it? Nope, the first one. We don't need this Untitled 2 anymore, but I'm going to hold on to it just in case. All right, so on this one, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to click from the bottom and I'm going to drag up for these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 parts. All right, these designs. All I want right now are the quilting designs. So I'm going to click delete. All right, so all I have is the quilting, and I'm going to do my color sort now. So here, let me move my head out of the way. So we have 10 color steps right now. We should be able to bring it down by 4, I believe. So let's go to Utility Color Sort. And don't forget, you want these same settings that I have here, the tolerance especially, you want at 0, and then click New View. Now we'll have a 4th tab, and now those quilting designs are together. So let's check that. We have our placement for our batting, our tack down for our batting, our placement for our main fabric, our tack down for our main fabric, and then the 2 quilting designs separated so that you have time to change your thread color. Perfect. Those look really good. Now we're going to go to, I think it was Untitled 3, yep. And I'm going to click from the bottom and I'm going to get just those last 5 designs. So the house and the chair and the personalizations that we added. So I'm going to say Control C to copy that, and I'm going to go to Untitled 4, the one that has our designs together, our quilting designs are together, and I'm going to say Control V, and look at it, puts it right on top of where they were before so that they are perfectly aligned, even though our quilting designs are together as one element now. All right, so you can see here, there's our quilting. And then we have our pumpkin house, our special personalization, our window, our chair, still perfectly lined up, and our dog or cat or whatever you added if you added something to it. All right, so that was not that bad, right? It was a fun experience to try and figure out how to make that work. The hard part was that I wanted it turned, and so then I didn't know how to do our align and distribute, which we ended up not needing to do an align and distribute because I kept it to the center and brought one thing in at a time, and then it automatically goes to the center. So that worked out really well. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file, save stitch file as, and I am going to name this Pumpkin House and Chair. And then I'm on my 9x14 hoop, so I'm going to type that at the beginning, 9x14, just so I remember. I've got Pumpkin House Chair, whatever works for you to help you to remember what it is that you're looking for. And my machine's not on right now. If my machine were on, I can send it wirelessly to my machine because I have a Brother Luminaire, or if you have the Baby Lock Solaris, those will send. Some other machines do, but I don't know exactly which ones, and I still get lots of messages about how to set that up. And it's set up in the settings. And again, I don't know which machines do and which machines don't. I know that my Brother Dream Machine does not do it. I have to use a USB stick, and that's super easy to do too. So anyway, this is all done. I'm going to go ahead and get started stitching. I can't wait to see yours. And how are you doing with your goal? I almost forgot to ask you. So I'm really curious to hear. I know a couple people have already left for their big challenge that they were working on or working toward. So I want to hear how that's going. My goal is weight loss. I'm down 14.2 pounds, which is kind of funny because I was concerned after getting back from vacation. I was kind of in vacation mode, and it was hard to get back into working it hard the way that I had been before we left for vacation. And we had friends over for dinner on Saturday, or friends over for dessert, and we actually bought 4 caramel apples and we split them all up, and we got to try 4 different types of caramel apples. And so we each got like an entire caramel apple, which I haven't had like really any sugar in a long time. So this was like quite a treat. And I was concerned that, I'm going to gain weight. And plus I had fettuccine Alfredo for dinner, by the way. So a big calorie day, a big day of not following my regimen. And I don't know if I even worked out that day. Actually, I think I did. But anyway, I was concerned about having this sugar and falling back into old habits of my love for sugar. And I did really good. I think I did gain like a half a pound that day, or the next morning, but it's gone again. So down 14.2 pounds, working it hard, staying away from sugar, working out. I did a run this morning in Patagonia, Chile in South Africa. That was pretty cool. I enjoyed that. That was really neat. It was really funny. So John Peel was the iFit trainer, and I'm running. He actually didn't run this challenge at all, but I hiked it up and I did go faster. So I was running the challenge, and it was funny though. He gets behind these people. And there were a lot of people on this trail, and there's this beautiful mountain in the background. It's supposed to be this really calming thing, and it was really cool. And I was like, get out of the way. I was being really rude to myself, but I was like, oh my gosh, because for the most part, he's talking right during the whole thing, and he's going, oh, and everybody make sure to drink water, and wow, look at the scenery, and blah blah blah, and people hear him, and so they kind of move to the side of it, right? But these 2 people on this workout were just staying, and they were taking up the entire trail instead of being like single file type of thing. And for the longest time, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you people move, like let him by. So it was really funny. It should not have been a stressful thing, and it really wasn't, but it was kind of funny to me that just not aware of your surroundings anyway. So good workout for me though. I enjoyed it a lot, and I'm now just 1 away from the September challenge. I have 1 more run to do, and then I'll finish off the September challenge and earn that badge, so that's exciting. And definitely working my goal and eating healthy. So what are you doing for your goal? How is it going? Are you working out hard? Are you watching what you're eating? I know a lot of people joined me on this my specific goal as far as losing weight, and so I want to hear how you're doing. Make sure to give me updates. I'm holding you accountable. Come on, we got to do this together. And my shirt today, this is a brand new one. I made this one right before my trip to Hawaii. It says, embrace all that is you, with a pretty sunflower on it. I will add a photo so that you can see it better. It was from Designs by Juju. It was part of a pack. So I will add underneath this video in the video notes, I will add a direct link of where you can get the design itself. The shirt was from forever ago, long time ago. It's been sitting in a drawer waiting to be embroidered on, and it wasn't from online. I bought it at a shop. So but I did add a link in yesterday's video of where you could get a cute v-neck shirt, so there you go.